So this is our taster workshop for what is an extraordinary relationship. This is me, and this is Wana. And our intention with this evening is to kind of explore what is it that makes an extraordinary relationship. We've all got relationships in our lives. None of us is an island. Many people have experimented, or several people have experimented with trying to live on their own, and it's a real challenge. You know, this idea of disappearing into the wilderness and surviving has got some appeal to many of us in these busy lives, but the reality that most of us live with is we need people around us. We need relationships at work, at home, in our families, our friends, our communities. Relationships are all around us. And what my purpose in life is to help enhance relationships. So to take relationships, even those that are working really well, and make them really special, extraordinary. So we'd like to explore that. And this is the theme of this 6-month program that we're starting next week, is about building some skills that really help us in any relationship improve the quality of the relationship. And that might be about solving some problems that have been, consistently with us, people that it's hard for us to put distance with, or it might be going deeper and getting a richer, more rewarding experience from our important relationships in our lives. The way the program is constructed is that we ask each participant to choose 3 important relationships in their life and to work with those through the 6 months. So it's very much learning through doing, through practicing, through trying things out. So what I would like as an invitation, and we're going to have a short breakout session in a moment, so I hope that you'll all be able to participate in that. I'd like you to think about your own relationships, maybe past relationships, maybe current relationships, past or present, and to choose one that you would define for yourself as extraordinary. When you think about all the relationships you've had in your life, maybe a current relationship, maybe past relationships, which relationship stands out for you as being an extraordinary relationship? Maybe it wasn't perfect. I don't think any of us are looking for or have a realistic expectation of perfection. So in any relationship, there's always things that can be worked on. But which is the relationship in your life that stands out? And what we're going to do is we're going to put you into a small group. So we work a lot on the program with small group sharing, on the belief that Wana and I are not experts in relationships. We have some experiences and we have some things to offer, but a lot of the learning in our programs takes place from each other. We learn from each other's experiences, from hearing each other, from thinking about, from sharing. So that's what we'd like to do now. We'd like to give you just a short taste of a short discussion around this question. So in the breakout room, with the 2 people that you find yourself with, I'd like you to share what were 2, with this relationship that comes into your mind, what are 2 or 3 things that made it or make it extraordinary? So it's just a short sharing, and we'll set the breakout rooms for 6 minutes. So there'll be 2 groups of 3 and 1 pair. They're selected randomly. It's not recorded, so you can use this 6 minutes to share whatever you would like. It's confidential, it's between the 2 of you. When we come back, what I'll ask is for some of you to share just a few ideas from these discussions, and we'll collect them and see what we can make of them. Are there some themes that we can identify? So I'm going to set the rooms up setting it for 7 minutes. So it gives you a minute just to kind of orientate yourself. So in the groups of 3, it's about 2 minutes each. In the pair, it'll be a little bit longer. Okay, I'm wondering, are there any questions? Okay, so we'll see you back here in 7 minutes. Back, everyone. Welcome back. While you are in your smaller groups, Razvan has joined us. He had some technical problems earlier, so welcome, Razvan. And I would love to get some feedback on this discussion about what makes an extraordinary relationship, and just to kind of collect it all together in one place and to allow everyone to participate in that. I would like to do it with the chat. So those of you who are not familiar with Zoom, you'll see there's a chat box at the bottom, on the bottom menu. And what I'd like you to do is to, if you can, capture each idea that you had in one word. So what will be, so maybe there's, if you had 2 or 3 features of an extraordinary relationship, what would be the 2 or 3 words that somehow represent that, rather than whole sentences? What are the words that represent so, and I'm going to read them out as they come. So humor, vulnerability, trust, acceptance, emotional support, trust, authenticity, openness, communication, honesty, sharing how we feel. That's more than one word, but I'll let that go. Really listening to each other. Synchronization, space, empathy, communication, acceptance, respect, alignment. Wonderful. As I enjoy this picture that's building. Okay. What I'd like to do is to just kind of take those words and the thoughts that are behind those and the experiences that are behind those, and to introduce this idea, or an idea, from the approach we're working with, nonviolent communication. And for those of you who are not familiar, I know some of you are, but for those of you who are not familiar with this idea of nonviolent communication, just very briefly, it was developed by an American psychologist called Marshall Rosenberg, originally in the 1960s. And he was growing up in Detroit, which at the time was experiencing a lot of violence coming from race, from poverty, from a number of different things. He grew up with a Jewish name. He wasn't a practicing Jew, and he personally experienced racism and being beaten up simply because of his name. And he got curious about how come, what's going on here? Why is it that some people take out this in violent ways and other people approach life in a much more peaceful, connecting way? And he identified the power of language, the way that we think and how that comes out in how we communicate and the words that we use and how we construct our thoughts in communication as being a key difference between those who are intolerant and violent and show up in that way and those who are peaceful and connected and accepting and open. And he developed this kind of synthesis of a number of different bodies of thought, coming from psychology, coming from spirituality and religions, that he called nonviolent communication. Nonviolent in the sense of the the non-violent movements of Gandhi, of Mandela, of Martin Luther King. And he identified at the core of all of us as human beings, we all share a common humanity. At our core, when you strip away color of skin, gender, all the ways in which we're different from each other, when we strip all of that away, he was looking for what is it that makes us essentially human, that makes us all human. And he came up with this idea that it is in itself a synthesis and has been informed by many people, such as Maslow. Some of you will be familiar with Maslow and his hierarchy of needs, and modern economists and developmental specialists, this idea of needs. It's a source of what makes us human, what brings out the best in us. And there are some very obvious ones. So I've put a number of words here. It's not a comprehensive list by any means. I picked out some to give a flavor of what we're talking about when we're looking at needs. And you'll see on here, there are some words that are exactly the same as some of the words that you wrote in the chat, or at least similar. So I remember saying things around authenticity, around acceptance, around empathy, around fun and play, honesty, safety, emotional safety, being free to speak up and show and share of ourselves in a vulnerability. And behind all the words that you came up with, we could find a need. Maybe they're not on the list, but this idea that the relationships that serve us best, the relationships that really nurture us, are those that give us, that nurture our needs, and we nurture the needs of the other. So one where this need for empathy might be met, or inspiration. We could pick any word from these lists, and to look at relationships through this framework of how is this relationship serving our needs. The more needs that are taken care of in a relationship, the closer we're able to be to our best, to be vital, to be alive, to be truly ourselves. And where we're in relationships where these needs are not taken care of. So if, for example, trust appeared, a number of you said trust is important. If that need for trust is not taken care of in a relationship, then how that might appear is, we're constantly on our guard. We're looking out for where we might be hurt, where maybe some situations are bringing nervousness, where constantly checking, am I on safe ground with this person in this situation? If the trust is not there, if empathy is not there, if I don't trust that, if I'm not getting a quality of listening from the other person, then I'm less likely to bring my full self. I'm going to keep some things hidden. There are some things that I don't feel comfortable sharing with the other person if I don't trust that they can hear me with empathy. If every time I try to talk about something that's bothering me, what I get is a list of advice or analysis of what's wrong with me, what I need to fix, then I will stop sharing those. It's not serving me, it's not nurturing me. So the really great relationships in our life are one where we can be fully ourselves. And it may be that there's no relationship that's perfect and we're always keeping something back, but as much of ourselves that we can show in the relationship, the closer it is to an extraordinary relationship. And of course, a relationship is two ways. So it's also about how we're contributing to the needs of the other person. It's not all take, take, take. It's an exchange. It's a being together, whether it's an intimate relationship where we're living together, whether it's a working relationship where we're collaborating on projects, on working together, or if it's friends where we're there to support each other and be there for each other, or family members. each relationship will have a different shape in terms of the needs that it's taking care of. So this then leads to a number of skills that we'll move on to in a moment, about how do we communicate our needs to somebody else, to the people we're in relationship with? How do we hear what they want, what their needs are? And these are skills that we can develop. We'll touch a bit more on that a little bit later. Just to kind of embed this idea of needs, what I'd like you to do is to pick one of these words from this list. Pick one at random, doesn't matter. I suggest you don't pick physiological. This is, food, water, air, rest, warmth, shelter. Physiological, they're the basic survival needs, but one of these other kind of higher level needs, just pick one at random, it doesn't matter which. And then having that, I'm just going to do a short kind of reflective, maybe meditation. So just to bring a little bit of stillness into yourself. If that means making a conscious shift of your body in your chair, maybe some people find it easier to close your eyes, just to go inside for a moment. So this is the invitation, just for the next couple of minutes. It's an invitation to step inside yourself. And as you step inside yourself, thinking about this need that you selected, whatever it might have been, this need, I'd like you to bring into your mind a person in your life, or a person that was in your life, where they really nurtured this need. When you were with this person, this need was fully taken care of. So if it was honesty, for example, then you really, really deeply trusted that you could be honest with this person, and they would be honest with you. Whatever the need was that you selected, this need was fully alive in this relationship. Bring that person to mind. If there isn't somebody who's like that high level of perfection, then somebody who at least contributed to this need in a positive way. Bring to mind one situation with that person, one memory, maybe a recent memory, or maybe it was in the past. Allow a memory to come to you that somehow represents that need with that person in a positive way. And when you bring that memory of that situation to mind, just pay attention to your body. What happens in your body? Maybe there's a change. Is there a relaxation somewhere in your body? Is there some sensation in your body? Does it communicate to you through your physical form? Just notice that. Notice an enjoyable sensation. What is that? Where is it? And is there an emotion that you kind of recognize is associated with this person, this situation, this need, when this need was really taken care of? How does that feel? What feeling comes to mind, comes to you, comes through your body? How would you name it for yourself, this feeling, this emotion? And when you go into your mind, are there any thoughts associated with this? Any judgments, labels, positive, enjoyable thoughts about this other person, about yourself when you're with this other person? Just notice when this, just remembering when this need was fulfilled in relationship with somebody else. Just how much more alive you have in you, more life. Maybe it's energy, maybe it's enjoyable experience. And I invite you to come back to us and just notice for yourself. Just notice for yourself. I'm not going to ask you to share anything. What does that bring you when you think about and connect with those moments, those people in your life that really nurture and contribute to your needs? Wana, are you ready to, if I pass the baton to you?
Yes, of course. And I just want to notice that Andra and Ligia, Krina joined us. And if you would like to turn on your cameras just to have more connection, we would appreciate it. And we are at the halfway of our meeting tonight. And now, after you found out some basic stuff about needs, if you didn't have this knowledge until now, I would like to invite you to think of a close relationship, of one of your close relationships. But maybe there is still some work needed. There is an important relationship, but not everything is working well there. You would like to change, to transform, to have more needs met in this relationship. Do you have such a relationship in mind? Just nod or so a close one where there are some high stakes, a relationship that you wouldn't just throw away. Yeah. And it's normal that we would like to have harmony. Yeah, a few relationships like this. Yes, as Alina writes. It's only natural that we would like to have harmony and peace within in our relationships, and at the same time we come with our experience, with our baggage, with our needs that are unmet, with our way of being brought up, and all of this comes with us in this relationship when we are together with the other person. Let me just screen share. And at the same time, it depends on us. How do we choose to look at this relationship? What do we choose to nourish? What do we choose to nourish with our energy and attention? So first of all, I would like to invite you to think on what is already there in this relationship, what is working. And I would like to tell you a little story about the relationship I have with my husband, which most of the time I can call it extraordinary after I think 17 years of being together and almost 12 of marriage. But we've been working on this relationship, and just together preparing for this webinar, I invited him. Let's have a talk about the needs that are fulfilled for us. We had this talk a few months ago, but this is a good opportunity to revisit it. And okay, let's see, what is it here for us now in this moment? And I realized, for example, maybe the smallest example, if you look at it, is that I appreciate so much that he takes care of the administrative stuff around the house. It's like, this thing is broken, and then I don't need to to think about that anymore because I trust that he will take care of it. I don't like taking care of this, taking care of the car, for example, changing the tires, for example, going to the mechanic or stuff that is breaking around the house. I find it overwhelming to think about this and to take care of this. And it brings me a lot of ease and relaxation and trust that I know that after I tell him, I really don't need to do anything. So this is a very small thing, probably, you would say. But I wanted to bring this example because this is a specific one that I really appreciate. It brings a lot of ease into my life. And why not appreciate and celebrate this with my partner? So focusing on what is already there, and I will continue afterwards on what is not there in my relationship and then in yours. But now I would like to invite you to focus on this relationship that you thought of and see what is already there. You may write. Actually, I invite you to write, to do this exercise, this introspection. Because you might want to start a dialogue with the other person about what your insights were. Yeah. So just think, what are the needs? You saw a list of needs before. Just let me know if you would like me to show another list of needs. What needs? What do you have right now in this moment? The needs are very dynamic. Probably in a week, they might change, or tomorrow. But what is it present right now? The needs that are there, fully taken care of in this relationship. And how is each need met? Like I said, my husband taking care of administrative stuff or changing the tires to the car brings me ease and relaxation and trust. Yeah. So how are these needs working for you? And I'm just going to leave you for a few minutes to. This is an individual exercise that I invite you to do for yourself and maybe to write down. Thank you, Alina, for sharing in the chat that you have the need of affection, love, emotional connection, and acceptance. And I invite you to think of specific ways on how each need is being fulfilled. It brings more clarity both to us and to the other when we refer to specific stuff rather than thank you for giving me love. But when you brought me flowers yesterday, I felt love. So the other person can get more connected. Okay, so this is the gesture that I did that translated into love for you, as an example.
Oana, am o rugăminte. Poți traduce un pic a doua propoziție? Deci care este...
Cum sunt satisfăcute nevoile în relația ta? Adică, în mod specific, ce anume faceți face cealaltă persoană sau tu, ca să aveți grijă de nevoile voastre sau
Asta
ale
am înțeles.
relației.
Mulțumesc. Cum sunt satisfăcute nevoile și
Da.
la prima care sunt nevoile.
Care sunt cele împlinite deja.
Mulțumesc frumos.
Plăcere. I'm going further. And as I said, be specific about what is the other person doing that you might be feeling grateful for, that you appreciate them for. And again, it's more connecting if you are thinking of specific things. Do you have some answers for these questions till now? How about if you think about sharing with the other your gratitude and appreciation and the needs that are met? How is it for you if you think of this? Is it something that you can easily do? Or is it something like, oh no, I feel tension about sharing this with the other person in this relationship? Oh no, I would better refrain for starting such a dialogue. But if you can do it, how do you plan to do it?
Sorry, when you are saying about how do you plan to do it, do you mean about like logistically or when to do it, which moment to choose, or rather the words which we want to choose, like what you just gave an example of the flower, that when you brought the flower to me, that you know, I felt loved. And so did you mean about like how to plan to do it? It's more about logistically when to choose the plan, when to choose the moment, or the phrases?
I think it's both, whatever is more helpful for you. But for example, if I think about my daughter, I would like to choose a moment when I know that I can connect with her. She's 10 years old, and then she can hear me. So I wouldn't just go, you know, I appreciate that, this and that, because maybe she will not hear me when she's playing or when she's doing something else. So I might think, okay, so when we are going to sleep and we have that connection before sleep, I might choose to tell her what I'm grateful and appreciating in the relationship with her, you know. or maybe with your partner. Oh, maybe I will invite him to lunch tomorrow, and I would like to start with the celebration. No, it's like thinking about how can I do it in a special way, in a celebrating way. It's an invitation to think about how can I do it, you know? How can I put it into practice? Okay. I'm wondering how is for you to focus on this part on the full glass, how do you say it, jumătatea plină a paharului, glass half full of the relationship. And I would like to hear maybe one voice. How is it for you? Did it bring you anything, this part of this exercise, before going further?
Wana, for me, it was very fulfilling, and it brought me joy.
Great. And are you planning to share your appreciation with the other person in the relationship? I'm just curious.
Yes, for sure, but I was happy to find out that thinking about it didn't make me nervous. Rather, it made me joyful, and I felt I found myself wanting to share.
Okay, great. I'm happy to hear this. So when you focused in a conscious way on the relationship, on what is already there, on the resources you both have, it brought you joy rather than nervousness. This is what I'm hearing. Super. And then there are parts that we would like to be taking more care of. There are needs that maybe are not fulfilled right now. And I remember a time a few years ago with my husband when we were really lacking connection. He was away for work for large periods of time. So we were really lacking connection. I mean, I was like, okay, it's like we are only talking about what to do, what we are doing, but not how we feel, about our emotions. I would like to be heard. I would like to express. I would like to know how it is for you. So this was very alive in me. And now, because then I didn't know NVC, I didn't know about needs, but this was very alive in me. So I want to be more connected with you. I want to go deeper in our dialogues. And the fact that I was missing this connection was really, was really impacting myself, and was bringing me a lot of, I don't know, sadness, even anxiety about the relationship. So now I'm inviting you to think of what is a need. Just pick one that in this moment, in this relationship that you chose to think about, is requiring more attention. Maybe it's met sometimes, but it's not fully met. But you would like to take more care of this need. What is something that you are lacking, you are yearning for right now? And how is it for you that you are lacking this need being fully alive between the two of you? What's the impact on the relationship and on yourself? And now I just want to tell you that we have the power, each and every one of us have the power to take care of our needs and to request from the other something that might contribute to the fulfillment of your needs or the need of the relationship. Or you maybe can do a small step in this direction. So use your inner power, use your responsibility of taking care of what you are needing and yearning, and think what is a very, very small step that would bring you closer to really having this need. I remember that in my example, even though I didn't know what I was doing, I mean, consciously, but I was really, you know what, we need to talk about this. Let's talk about, let's have a dialogue. I was going to my husband and I really wanted to tell you more. Can you please listen to me? So this was my request then. Do you have an idea about what step can you take? Mm-hmm.
A small step of appreciate.
To appreciate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. A small step would be to invite the other person to have a dialogue, right? Let's take the story and the conversation that we have in our minds, because I guess that happens to you as well as it happens to me, to have many conversations and dialogues in our minds, even with other persons. And let's bring it to real life. Invite the other. Hey, how do you see our relationship? Because for me, it's an important one. You know, let's consciously look at it and put our needs, which are at the same level, not mine are more important and yours are less, but are at the same level of importance. Let's put them on the table in front of us and let's see what can we do about it. So start a dialogue would be our first recommendation. And I'm curious if starting a dialogue with the other person is something that you see yourself doing easily. Or what did this whole exercise bring you so far? And I would love to hear one voice. Anyone wanting to share?
No, I can share one.
Thank you.
I think the thought of opening up the discussion is easier for a discussion where I feel at fault, or rather I feel that it's a matter that I have to improve myself more than my partner, an aspect. And it feels like it comes a bit easier to open up a discussion where it's a matter that he can improve or he should improve more than myself. And I feel like I can do it in an empathetic manner. Rather than the first case where I feel like I have to excuse myself, and it's difficult to find empathy for myself when I know I'm at fault.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you are talking about some kind of difficult discussions or challenging discussions, and I am inviting you to start the dialogue with, here are some tips. Start the dialogue with inviting the other person. Hey, how is your relationship for you? Our relationship for you. Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's a parent or child or a friend. Hey, how is it for you? How do you feel in this relationship? And then go to first focus on what is already there, you know. It's different when we are acting out of scarcity, like I don't have it, out of lack. But when we focus on what is already there, it's like we are coming from a fullness of resources, you know. We have a tank between us, the relationship tank, that has something in it, has some resources. Let's focus on what we already have here. Yeah. And what we already have here is what we appreciate, what we are grateful for, what we can celebrate. Hey, what you are doing is helping me, is contributing to making my life easier, more fun, more beautiful. And at the same time, the process of building an extraordinary and harmonious relationship takes as long as it takes. So I invite you to take time and patience, because if we are used to doing things in another way, as Andra was saying, some conversations are difficult. I would rather not go into that conversation. I would rather go into that one. You know, it's a lot to transform. So take it step by step and build this connection, but in a conscious way. And in a conscious way is thinking about needs. What is this relationship bringing into my life? How is this person enriching my life? Because it's about us and how we feel in our inner world, after all, right? And another tip is speak about yourself. You know, like I feel, I need. And I know if there is a lot of history there, the other might have interpretation that you are suggesting that it's my fault or whatever, or I'm responsible or so on. In this case, I remind you of the second tip: be patient and build it step by step. And at the same time, ask the other, hey, how is it for you? How do you feel? What do you need? You know? And I'm curious if starting such a dialogue is something that you would like to try after our time together tonight. I'm really curious if there is somebody who would like to show a hand that you would like to try out this kind of conscious and needs-based dialogue. Only one? Two. Okay. As I said, the process takes as long as it takes, and probably this is the first step. And Andra, yes. And Anya. Yeah. And another tip of transforming the relationships and starting constructive dialogues and working on them over the long run is, of course, joining the Extraordinary Relationships program that I would like to invite Ian to to tell us more about right now in the last 15 minutes?
Yeah, thank you, Wana. So I just asking for your patience for another. We will finish at the top of the hour, so we won't overrun. We are willing to stay if anyone has some deeper questions that you would like to ask. Both Wana and I are ready to stay. I'd like to give you an idea about this course that we're starting next week, which is really a large expansion on some of the themes we've been talking about here. My slide. So it's a 6-month program. So it's a big commitment. We recognize that it's a big commitment. My experience of, this is the 3rd time that we've run this version online. Before that, we ran it live for quite a number of years. So over the course of working with many people on this program, what I found is that quite a few people do it again. They come back. I think, Wana, you did it twice, didn't you, as a participant?
Yes, in the beginning of studying NVC. Mm-hmm.
Because relationships take time. The focus is on your relationship. So over the 6 months, we'll be inviting you, as I think I said earlier, for those of you who are here, we'll be inviting you to choose 3 different people to focus on for 6 months as kind of like your own personal case studies. So what we generally advise is pick people from different parts of your life. So maybe, you know, a friend or a family member. Many people pick parents. So mothers and fathers feature very much. Children also come up quite a lot, and intimate partners, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends. So these are very common choices. So we get to, we role play during the program at various points. We get to play and stand in for your parents, your children, your partners, your friends. Somebody from work would also be, for those of you who are in a working environment where, you know, those relationships are kind of important. They're usually very different. They're constructed very differently. There's a different energy about them. So I would encourage you to also pick somebody from workplace. So what most people end up with is a work colleague. Usually those are the difficult ones, you know, a boss or a colleague that they're not getting on with. There's conflict. They really don't enjoy that relationship, that connection. A family member or a friend also where, you know, it's a good relationship, but there's something that's not working. And another relationship that is working well, and it's, you know, really to want to deepen it and improve it. So you've got a range of relationships to work with over the 6 months. And then how we work, sorry, what the program offers is, first of all, a series of workshops. So 6 workshops. Every month we have a workshop, a 1-day workshop, which is a 3-hour session in the morning and a 3-hour session in the afternoon. And this gives a flavor of how the understanding and the skills build. So where we start with is, okay, let's have a look at ourselves first. Yes, we've got relationships, but let's forget about those people and look at us. Why is it that when my mother has this way of communicating without saying any words, she raises her eyebrow like that. When she does that, I get really triggered, because I'm imagining all kinds of things that she's thinking about me. She doesn't need to say a word. When she does that, something happens with me. What is it? Why is that stimulating for me? Why, when my partner doesn't clean up in the kitchen, because I'm doing it all the time, and occasionally I would like her to do it, when she doesn't do it, that irritates me, and we have in the past got into fights about it. Why is this so important for me? What is it? So it's about understanding yourself, getting some clues about your inner world, and then we move. So for the first month, what we would invite you to do is to just notice, what are some of the things that are really bothering me with these 3 relationships? What can I learn about myself? Second module is then, how can I communicate this? How can I communicate this stuff that's bothering me and the stuff that I'm enjoying in a way that gets me closer to the other person, in a way that is less likely to stimulate a reaction from the other person? How can I speak my truth? And what does that mean, my truth, anyway? Then we move to, okay, we're only half of the relationship. What about the other person? When my mother raises her eyebrow in that way, what's my guess? What's going on for her? But doing that in a way that's not reactive, but is really connecting. I'm looking for ways to connect in understanding the other. How can I listen with empathy to the people around me, especially when they're behaving in ways that I don't like? Why are they doing that? Is it because they want to make my life miserable? Or might there be a gentler explanation? Maybe they're taking care of something for themselves. So we're about halfway through the program. Then we start to put it together is how can we, with this understanding about myself and the other, how can we navigate conflict more easily? So those difficult moments with these people, maybe we've started a dialogue and it hasn't gone well. How can we move through that conflict to really connect with the other person? I really believe that conflict is probably one of the most powerful and important ways we can deepen relationship with another person. We come through conflict, but conflict also has this risk of destroying relationship. So there's this kind of creative, dangerous energy in conflict that if we can learn how to handle it well, can really improve the quality of our connections. Towards the end of the program, we're moving towards, okay, how can we better take care of ourselves? In any relationship, we're 50%. When the other person's not taking care of us, how can we take care of ourselves? How can we bring compassion for ourselves? And then we move to, okay, putting all of this together, what are next steps for us, in our relationships? Okay, so that kind of represents let's say, the core of the program, the pillars on which the content stands. Then what we recommend is you keep a journal. You keep track of your progress. It's very motivating to keep track of progress, because if we don't keep track, we often lose sight of, actually this relationship is moving, it is changing, but it's very slow. It's like trying to watch a plant grow. If I don't pay attention to it, I can't see it growing. But if I pay attention and I keep on over a 6-month period, of course, the plant has grown a lot. It's flowered, it's left seeds. The same is happening with our relationship. So a journal is, we find, the best way. And to support that, we will be providing every week a new set of materials, additional content. We've got videos, we've got articles, exercises. So every week there's new material for you to use or not. So some material you'll find is very relevant. So for example, we've got a video and exercise on anger. What's happening with me when I get angry? How can I better manage my anger and use it in a more constructive way? We've got modules on gratitude and appreciation. How can I express my gratitude in ways that are really powerful and really connecting? So this is what's in your control. We're providing materials. You're managing your own learning, using what's useful and not using what's not useful. I mean, why would we use stuff that's not useful? You'll have a partner, another participant on the course. It's kind of a companion for each other through the course. We recommend that you meet weekly. We hear from people who are doing the course and have done the course. This is very, very valuable to have somebody that you can help you get some space to process what's going on by listening to you, practicing empathic listening at the same time. Many relationships that form here are still ongoing, even from the first programs that we ran years ago. Those relationships, in many cases, become very deep and long-lasting, friendships even. Every month we'll have an opportunity to meet and learn from each other. There's no new content here. These are shorter meetings, usually in the evenings, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, where we just learn from each other. You know, how are our relationships developing? What's working? What's not working? What are we learning from our experiences? And also, as part of the program, you'll have 3 individual sessions, one-to-one sessions. Both Ioana and I are trained in coaching and therapy between us. So one of us will work with you. You can have it with the same one of us, or you can alternate and change to really work on your own personal topics, your own personal issues. It's kind of the tailoring of the program, if you like. And just to complete, we start next Friday. So the first module is next Friday. We will keep a small group. We don't want to offer this for, you know, like 20, 30 people. So typically the group size is somewhere between 10 to 15, 16. That's the group size that we find most comfortable. We do still have a few places left. We don't have enough places for everybody who's here, though, unfortunately. It is something that we're running on a regular basis. So if you do want to come and you somehow miss out this time, then there will be other opportunities. Details and registration are here. And I think we'll probably send you a mail with this as well, just so you've got an easy click link. So that's what we wanted to share with you. We've got 5 minutes left. I would love to see if there's any questions either about the program or about what we've shared this evening. So anyone who would like to ask a question, when it reaches the top of the hour, if there's more questions, as I said, Ioana and I are very happy to stay for anyone who doesn't get their question answered and is able to stay for a few more minutes with us. Okay, so 5 minutes, open questions, anything that we can tell you about.
I'm curious. At the moment, I'm actually already on the program. Actually, this is in Polish because I'm Polish. So I do it with the Polish group, and I very much like, I have to say, this outline which you just presented. Extremely well thought. I mean, I'm really, really impressed by the outline. So I think it's a great program. And my question is, though, about language. Yes. I am not going to take it, but it's really interesting. And I guess that you are targeting, I mean, probably most of the people here, if not everyone, it's from Romania. But which language do you use in this program?
English. English.
Okay.
It is English. I don't speak Romanian. I kind of understand Romanian.
You don't? Okay.
I don't speak Romanian. I speak, my Polish is better than my Romanian, to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
But the people from the people that we've signed up already, we have non-Romanian speakers in the group. So it will be in English. However, because we work a lot in smaller groups and exercises, you know, if there happens to be a group of only Romanian speakers in a small group, then of course they will speak in Romanian. So no one's, you know, there isn't a language police, but the language of the course is English.
It's English. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's great. And what is the cost?
I don't remember. It's if you follow that link, you'll see the details. There's a couple of options.
Oh yeah. So I will get all the details.
Installment option, and there's a full price option. And I'm kind of a little hesitant to say this, but we are very open to dialogue about money.
I know the culture of NVC.
In working with nonviolent communication, we'd really like, our focus is on taking care of needs. So the money we're asking for is taking care of some of our needs. And I recognize that not everybody has access to money. So we're very open and very willing to dialogue about that and see how we can arrange things, you know, in ways that work for people who really don't have access to money.
I just want to say that the full cost is €625. for the whole program.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's great.
Any other questions or reactions? I'm also open to hear feedback about. I heard your feedback, Anya, and I really enjoyed hearing that. I'm also open to hear any kind of feedback. Actually, I find. Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'm really hopeful that some of you at least will decide to join us starting next week. Those of you who don't decide to join us, thank you very much for being here. Maybe we'll see you on some future event. Our paths might cross in other ways. And Wana and I will stay around now. If some of you have some individual questions, so comfortable, you know, in a group of people that you don't know, you've not met, maybe there's some questions that you've got that you prefer to answer in a, you know, just with us or in a smaller group. So if that's the case, then please do stay, talk to us. Otherwise, good evening and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say that I will put on Facebook, on our Facebook page, the recording and the materials, because I don't have all of your emails, I don't see all of your names, so it's easier to put everything on Facebook. Thank you.
Mulțumesc și eu. Și unde e pagina de Facebook?
Îți scriu imediat, uite, îți dau un link aici. E ok așa?
E ok așa, mulțumesc. Chiar a fost o provocare pentru mine să particip la această...
Da, apreciez că ai făcut-o, mă întreb cum a fost.
Da. Și eu vă apreciez, sunteți profesioniști. Chiar vă mulțumesc și chiar îmi doresc să fac parte din comunitatea aceasta voastră de comunicare non-violentă.
Păi, poți să ai văzut acolo cursurile pe care le avem. Și, cum ziceam, primul este introducerea, următorul ar fi introducerea în comunicare non-violentă, care e în română și atunci poate că aceea e o oportunitate.
Uite,
Dalia.
Da, am înțeles.
Da, mulțumim.
Și eu vă mulțumesc. Pa, pa.
Seară bună!
So, does anyone who's still with us, who hasn't left, is there something you'd like to talk about, you'd like to ask us, like to share with us?